My husband is sleeping with his friend's wife, so I decided to do the same with his friend. The result was amazing. The author of the post is listed in the description. I'm in the middle of a divorce with my 26F husband, 29M. The divorce happened for many reasons. I started dating my ex when I was 15 and got married at 19. I was so young and broken from childhood SA. He made me feel complete and used to say that he was the only one who could help put me back together. I believed him. I thought if I was with him, I'd be okay. That was true for the most part, but I lost a lot of my identity. I thought I was happy. But when you lose yourself in someone, you can't understand how toxic they can be, because I thought I was finally whole. Then 2020 hit. My husband's infrequent outbursts became more common as his drinking got worse. He would scream at me, tell me I was worthless and stupid, tell me I wasn't enough fun anymore, coerce me into sex by telling me I was useless unless I put out and that he deserved it. He also hit me a few times when I got mad back or said no to sex. He messed around with his friend's wife and his best friend's girlfriend. To be honest, I thought I deserved this behavior. I thought I deserved the abuse because I wasn't good enough. This is where the second part of my story starts. I found out about his friend's girlfriend because the friend told me. He didn't deny it. I felt broken. I resolved to stay and work it out, but I ended up close with his friend. We started hanging out and I felt very close with him super quickly. I pumped the brakes when I thought I might have feelings and talked with my husband. He, maybe because he was drunk, maybe because he thought I wouldn't do it, gave me the go-ahead. He said he figured if he fucked around, I could too. I enjoyed every minute with him. At first it was purely sexual. He was leaving a bad relationship. I was trying to learn how to ask for what I wanted. But over time, I found out how awesome he was, and little by little, my personality felt like it was coming back. One day I decided to tell him everything he did to me. With my new confidence, I learned that I didn't deserve that behavior. He was absolutely horrified, said he figured something was up, but didn't realize to what extent. He said he would be there for me, no matter what. And he was. We fell in love and I didn't know what to do. He loves me but isn't sure if he wants to be with me because of the severe blowback he'd have personally. I ended up deciding to get divorced. Even if I couldn't have him, I knew that I couldn't be in that home, constantly scared and freaking out. I filed and then it was like a switch for my husband. He stopped drinking, said he would go to couples therapy, and honestly all the abuse stopped. I felt like I was making the wrong decision, like I should stay, but I knew I could not ever go back to how it was. He asked me to stop seeing my partner. I told him I did, but I did not. I couldn't. And even though my husband was trying, I couldn't get over everything he did to me over the last 3 years. Maybe I could have if I stopped seeing my friend, but I didn't. I just knew I never wanted to go back to the potential of that. Now I feel horrible. I still am seeing my friend. I'm still in love with him. Even with the uncertain future, I enjoy every day I get to see him. He said he feels the same. The guilt about it eats at me, but I just can't stop seeing him. In the divorce, my friends all took his side. He told them about my friend, but not about his abuse, and with him working on himself, I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't think it was helpful. So now, everyone knows about me and my friend, but everyone thinks we are not together. No one really talks to us, though. My divorce should be over in December. I'm excited and ready for it all to be behind me. I won't lie, though. I'm hopeful that my friend and I can be together. And if that makes me a bad person, that sucks. But I don't want to wait hoping a man can get it together. I want something great that's in front of me. And if we don't work, that's fine too. I just know I deserve better. Comments before update. Commenter. You're making a mistake by not telling your friends what's really going on. You're allowing him to trash you, and he will continue to do it. Give your friends a chance to support you, and take it from a much older sister. The working on himself thing is phony. He'd go right back to being an abusive asshole if you went back. It happens all the time. Spouse abuses other spouse, then vows to fix things when they leave. All they do is go right back when spouse is roped back in. Your new guy is a rebound. When you've been with an abuser, pretty much anyone who doesn't abuse you looks good. Been there, have the t-shirt. Get divorced and stay single while you get on your own 2 feet. Answer: yeah, he might be a rebound, but I've been with him for a year. He's been very supportive. I'm hoping that we take some time apart and I can heal. I hot my own apartment 2 HRS from my ex in a big city, able to make my own money, and it's been nice. Commenter: I am so proud of you for getting out of this horrible marriage any way you can. But I want you to know this time apart from your other guy is a gift you absolutely must accept. I've been in sadly, a couple of these situations before, and I have to tell you, I do not regret the relationship so much as I regret not talk to the time to be alone for a long-ass time. You are so brave, but you need to heal and learn to love yourself more. I can see you're already on your way. But do it more. Answer: thank you. I appreciate it. I kinda needed the permission to do just that. My friend said he will be completely understanding if that's what I choose and support it. I'm just trying to wait until I get my bearings in the new city before we part ways. He knows this, but neither of us want it, but we know I need it. And if he's still single when that happens and we hit it off again, that'd be amazing. But it will also be fine if not. Update 1. My F27 mom passed a year ago. It was known that it was a possibility, so my mom divided up her jewelry my dad had gotten her over the years to give to us if she passes. I had picked out 2 rings I had helped my dad pick out. They were not cheap, about $10,000 a piece when I got them appraised. When I left my husband, 30M, I left pretty quickly and with basically nothing just to get out. He kept some of my stuff, but it was in our divorce agreement that certain things were to be given to me and held in a safe deposit box until I could get them. I took basically nothing monetarily from the marriage when I left and gave him basically everything. The divorce is now final, and I finally came back to my home state to pick up the rings. I found out that he did not put the rings in the safety deposit box, just some of my other jewelry. I confronted him about it, and I found out that not only did he not place them for safekeeping, he stored them in his new girlfriend's F21 apartment, who says she had them in her jewelry box for safekeeping, but she can't find them. She knew what they were according to the texts I have, and that they were not his or a gift. I talked to my divorce lawyer. He's filing a lawsuit since 1. Inheritance is not marital property, and 2. My ex did not follow his end of the divorce decree. I'm asking for $25,000, the cost of the rings plus emotional damages for the loss of the only thing I have left from my mom. I also filed a report to the police for the theft of the rings by his girlfriend. That probably won't go anywhere though, but they are investigating as she or he sold them. I think it's a high possibility given the value. I'm devastated by losing these. They were so special to me. He and his girlfriend are pissed at me because it's too much money that they don't have. She could get charged with theft or laundering the money from selling them for my ex. Not sure, this is mostly from my lawyer, and it's just a couple rings. His friends, my old friends who I don't speak with, have been blowing up my phone calling me a bitch, and I hurt him so much already, and to just leave it alone that I'm getting what I deserved. I wish I could get the rings back, but I'm so upset at this and over his whole attitude about it that I want to basically go scorched earth on them. At this point, it's not only about the sentimental value, but to give a big fuck you after everything. Ada for seeing my ex for my rings and potentially getting his girlfriend in legal trouble? Comments. Commenter. NTA. He needs to give you a complete and honest account of what happened to your rings. If he'd rather see his new girlfriend in jail than face the truth, well, it sucks to be her and be thrown under the bus. Answer. That's my biggest thing. I want to know where they went. If he would just tell me, locate them, and give them back, I might not have to do this. It's not even about the money, it's about taking away something so important to me. Most likely they're in some pawn shop. I'm not in town much longer, but my siblings said they would search every pawn shop to see if one of them have it. Commenter. Who cares what his friends say? The rings were your property and he either lost or sold them. Hold them accountable. Answer. I agree, I just hate how my phone is blowing up. It's hard to continuously be called a bitch, everything else they say about me. I've been thinking about changing my number over all this. Update, 10 days later. I posted around a week ago about my ex-husband stealing my rings. I was getting nowhere with him. The cops seemed pretty uninterested, and my lawyer said that while we had a case, it could take ages. My family went through a lot of pawn shops, but couldn't find anything. I was feeling pretty horrible about everything going on, and figured they were a lost cause, until a friend from my past messaged me on Instagram earlier this week. She never had sent me anything bad like other people, we just didn't talk. She linked a profile of my ex's new girlfriend's brother and said, I'm not sure. His fiancé's ring looks like it might be yours. This friend also lost her mother when she was younger and said she didn't care what happened between me and my ex, but she wasn't letting some guy take that away from me. We talked for a bit, and she said she was upset when she heard about the rings being missing, and my ex had gloated, saying I wasn't ever giving them back, and wanted to find them if she could. I went over to the page, and sure as shit, my favorite ring, a diamond with weaving silver and rose gold diamond paved band, was prominent in his engagement photos. I then went all CIA on them, looked at every family member this girl has, and found another sister with my other ring, saying it was her purity ring gifted by her sister for her 16th birthday. I was floored and very pissed. I called into work for the rest of the week and drove my ass back to my hometown, picked up my brother, and went to my ex's apartment. My ex answered the door, and I lied, telling him that the cops were going to arrest his girlfriend's brother and sister for theft, and he could give me those rings back in 2 days or else. One day went by, no ring, so I messaged the brother's new fiancée on Instagram, showed her pictures of the ring on my hand, on my mom's hand, and said it was stolen and that I wanted it back. This poor girl was appalled. I honestly think she had no idea. We ended up calling each other. She apologized and said she would talk to her fiancé. I told her that I was getting that ring back. We ended up meeting up. I showed her more proof it was mine, told her the whole story, and thank God she gave it back to me. She said she didn't like her fiancé's sister and that she thought she was bad news and basically stayed away from her. She said she would talk to her fiancé about why in the hell he thought getting a ring from her would be a good idea. I guess word got out, and my ex started calling me incessantly, basically leaving messages saying he'd do anything, but don't make his girlfriend's sister give back the ring. It was embarrassing, etc. I picked my brother back up, went back to his apartment. This time both his girlfriend and him were there. Yelling match started. My brother had to keep me from basically clawing the eyes out of that bitch. I ended up literally sitting in their entryway saying I wasn't leaving until I got that ring, or they could call the cops to remove me and I'd tell them about the rings. I don't know exactly what happened after that, but she left and came back with the ring after about an hour. The whole time, my ex is saying my mom was basically his too, and he should have something from her, and it was only right. My brother was basically staying in between me and him, telling him to back off. When I got the second ring back, I stood up and just finally lost my shit. Years of him and I don't think I'd ever gotten that mad before. I screamed at him, told him off, and spit on him when I left. I don't think it was the most mature response, but it felt fucking good. I'm also surprised that he didn't get a noise complaint. Cops called on us, but the apartment isn't necessarily known for being nice. As for why the fuck that woman thought it a good idea to give the rings to her family, I don't know. I'm hoping that old friend might give me some gossip, or that I might hear from the fiancé. But honestly, I'm just happy that my rings are back, and the drama is settled. I don't have to deal with them anymore. Nothing else is needed from our divorce decree. My boyfriend promised me a massage and cuddles from the cat when I get back into town, and honestly, I'm just hoping to never hear from them again. Okay, next story. UOP gets tested by her sister and her new husband, then later gets tricked into a reconciliation by her mom. This is actually crazy, and there's going to be lots of details, so please bear with me. My sister recently got married. It's been about 3 to 4 months. I didn't really see much of them after the wedding, honeymoon, and then back to work. But once a month, our family all gets together and my parents host a huge feast. Since this took place a week ago, it was for the month of August. During this dinner, my BIL was being extremely weird towards me. He was complimenting my body, ignoring my sister, and just straight up acting so strange. It was completely unexpected for several reasons, one being his wife was sitting right next to me. 2, he has only been married a few months. Also, he's just never spoken to about me like that before. I felt really uncomfortable, and I'm sure it transpired to the rest of the room because WTF. Except, it was weird because nobody was pointing anything out. I was extremely confused and just wanted to leave. I left early, but when I got home, I just felt so icky. I don't even know how to describe it. I decided to message my sister and let her know his behavior made me uncomfortable. I told her that it was also concerning he felt comfortable enough to say these things in front of my parents and brother. I explained that if she didn't feel comfortable being in the middle, I wouldn't mind explaining this to him myself. His behavior was so unnerving that I FaceTimed my boyfriend who was away for work in the US. I told him it was weird and how suddenly my BL's behavior towards me went from that of siblings to this horribly uncomfortable situation. He was pissed, rightfully so. My sister didn't respond to my texts until the next day. She asked to meet up, so I did. I was expecting her to be upset and to have him apologize for what he said. Instead, she admits it was all a test and I passed. I was confused, to say the least. What did she mean by a test? Passed? Like, what's going on? Turns out, she had her husband do those things on purpose because she wanted to see how I would react if he had said those things to me and meant them. My reaction and choice to message her afterwards told her I could be trusted around him. I was offended, to say the least. Why would she think I couldn't be trusted? Well, let me tell you in my opinion, not very valid reason for this lack of trust. My sister has been married before. She was 27, and the divorce was about 10 months into marriage. Her ex was a psycho, to say the least. He had known me longer than he did my sister. I was the one who had introduced them. They got along well and eventually started dating. It looked like the healthiest and most romantic relationship to grace planet Earth. Except when they got married. During their marriage, I was staying with them because it was a closer commute to work. They had extra bedrooms and I would pay rent and cook and clean for myself. My underwear, bras and panties, would often go missing. It started off small. I just assumed it got mixed up in my sister's laundry and would turn up eventually. But it was happening more frequently to the point I was buying underwear almost weekly. I kept pressuring my sister to admit she was stealing my underwear and she was adamant it wasn't her. I decided to just ignore it and go about my day. Something I hadn't even considered an option was the real reason. My former BIL was stealing my underwear. I don't know. Nor did I want to know what he was doing with it when I found out. But I was so disgusted and confused. Someone I thought was my friend was actually just a perv. He admitted he had never really loved my sister and was just using her to get to me. I was just so creeped out and I pressed charges against him for his sickening behavior. I was able to get a restraining order and my sister divorced him almost instantly after finding out. She used something traumatic that happened to me and flipped it to make it seem like I'm the one who was untrustworthy. She claimed I must have strung him along for him to think like that, and this test was just to prove I wasn't doing it again. Safe to say, I was extremely hurt and angry by her response, so I told her to never speak or contact me again if that's what she really thought of me. My family found out and for the most part agree her behavior is crazy. But my mother stood by her actions and said my sister was just trying to protect herself from being hurt again. I told her if she had just been honest with me from the start, I wouldn't have been as bothered. There's a right way to approach things and a wrong way. This isn't just wrong, it's also crazy. Why is she so adamant it's my life goal to hurt her? I didn't know that her ex was going to turn out like that, so why am I being punished? She claimed I should have had some indication he liked me, but he really made it seem like he was head over heels for my sister. How am I supposed to know what's going on in someone else's mind? Anyway, the family dinner was earlier for this month as it was the most compatible date for everyone's schedules, yesterday. I told my parents to expect me not to show up if my sister and BIL were going. It wasn't even because I refused to ever speak to her again. I had just said that because the situation was so fresh, I told my mother I would apologize when I had cooled down a little. It was just difficult to face them when they made me feel like a horrible person for a situation that was out of my control. My mother assured me my sister wouldn't attend, so I agreed to come. When I arrived, they were both there. It felt like an ambush, and it sort of was. My sister demanded I apologize for my reaction because it was my own fault it happened in the first place. I can't lie, I snapped. I told her she should remove my number and the title of being my sister if she really felt that way. I just need advice because therapy isn't scheduled for another 2 weeks, and I feel like I just dreamt a soap opera storyline. I feel kind of bad because I do understand my sister had her trust broken completely by her ex, but I feel like that distrust shouldn't be aimed at me, but the person who actually caused it. And I was the one who introduced her to the a-hole in the first place, so I feel guilty for that already. But I'm failing to see how her schemes to manipulate me into thinking she's being wronged by a husband once again is just far too extreme. 1. I want to apologize to her for one reason, ever introducing that man to her. 2. I really need her to see that I wasn't trying anything when her ex was stealing my underwear. I was just as in the dark as her. How do I go about doing the above because I want to put this behind me and move on? I was just about healing from her former marriage, and now this one is also putting me in a very uncomfortable position. With my sister, my BIL, and my own mother. Any advice on how to tackle apologizing, getting my sister's trust back, and showing her I truly just want the best for her? Relevant comments. Commenter. What were your father and other family members doing during this charade? Why didn't anyone speak up or have your back? Totally creepy. You deserve to be treated better by everyone who was there. Answer. My dad wasn't pleased with what my BIL had said during the August dinner. Then when he found out the plan, he forbade him from entering the family home again. My mother lied and said that he wasn't invited, but they showed up anyway. Apparently he was livid and threatened to call the police if they didn't leave. I left after I said what I said, so I don't know what happened. But my brother called me and told me everything that went down from when I left the August dinner and this month's dinner. My brother and dad are amazing, and I'm going to update the post at some point to make sure everyone knows. This subreddit only allows you to make one update, so I want to make it worth your while. They've been so supportive and have tried to talk some sense into my mother. Their words, not mine. I've not spoken to my mother in a few days, which is so odd for me because I always call her at least once a day. And of course haven't spoken to my sister or her husband. Commenter. Stop. You have absolutely nothing to apologize for. What they did to you was completely messed up. Who even comes up with these things? So this entire time she has this home-wrecking image of you? That's so hurtful. They owe you an apology. Answer. This is what hurts the most. She really thinks it's my life goal to cause her misery. It's so exhausting. I miss my sister from before all this shit happened. The one who loved and trusted me above anyone else. Update. A lot has happened the last couple of days. I have tried to read all the comments and take in everyone's advice. This has been the outcome. I lost a sister and a mother in 2 days. It's heartbreaking more than anything. I had a meetup with everyone. My boyfriend came with me, so I had support during the conversation. Honestly, it was hard to look at any of them for the way they treated me. I'm so thankful to everyone opening my eyes to the crazy behavior exhibited in the first part of this story. In front of everyone, my mother admitted to knowing about the plans from the start. Sister confided in her, and she agreed it was a good idea. She supported her son-in-law openly harassing her daughter. I'm in complete shock, and it just hurts so much knowing she would condone this, considering she knew how much I was affected by the first husband. She knew I was having a difficult time in therapy. It took me a long time to trust people again after that. And I feel like once again my trust has been broken. I don't know how I'm ever going to trust anyone again. I'm really thankful my boyfriend was there to comfort me because it was so hard keeping my composure around them. My sister was not budging at all. She kept maintaining she was in the right. She said the only reason I wouldn't apologize is because deep down I knew what her ex was like. She said I just liked getting attention from him knowing he was married to my sister. She also claimed I overreacted, and if it's acting, then it's not harassment. I told her she shouldn't expect any calls, texts, or just not to be contacted by me until I received the apology I deserve from both her and my BIL. Speaking of, he was pretty silent throughout the whole thing, probably because my father threatened his life if he spoke bad about me. He did say that the only reason he did it was to placate my sister because she kept accusing him of ogling me, but still no apology from him. My mother, this one broke my heart the most. She told me I was over-exaggerating and that I should be happy to have passed my sister's test. She actually said the words, "We can all move on now." I was in complete awe, TBH. How could she think that things would just go back to normal after this? I asked why she was supporting such delusional behavior. She said it was because she loved my sister and wanted her to be happy. I asked her if she loved me as much as my sister. She said yes. It seemed hesitant, but I don't want to read too much into that. I told her I wanted an apology for her schemes. She refused, so I gave her the same conditions I gave my sister and BIL. Until I get an apology, I simply am not speaking to all three of them. As a result, I also probably have to go low contact with my brother and dad because they both live with my mother. I mean, I'll hang out with them outside and without the presence of my mother. But if she'll let them is the question. I know some of you have suggested spending time with my boyfriend's family on holidays and occasions. I think it was just person, but oh well. I haven't met my boyfriend's family before because they live in the US, but after this situation, I've taken 2 weeks paid holiday for the end of this month, and he's taking me to meet them for the first time. I hope it goes well because they might be the only family I have now. My therapy session has been moved to tomorrow because I requested an emergency appointment. Wish me luck. Anyway, my biggest thanks goes to all you Redditors for helping me see the situation for what it was. For your advice and compassion, I'm really grateful. I don't think I would have been able to get through this on my own. It's likely I would have caved and apologized just for the pattern to repeat itself. Truly, thank you so much. Wishing you all the best. And I hope you know that your advice might have just saved me from my need to always please others. I'll look back on this moment anytime I feel like putting someone else's feelings above my own comfort. Hope your hearts are filled with love and happiness. More relevant comments. Commenter, I'm so sorry, but you did the right thing. I know it hurts and it sucks, but this is the healthiest thing for you. Maybe someday they'll wake up and realize what they've done, but if not, at least you have toxic out of your life. I do want to ask, what are your brother and father's thoughts and feelings on this? Did they have anything to say in defense of you? Answer, my brother still lives with my parents, so although he doesn't like what happened, he's just trying to keep out of my mother's way until he moves. My dad doesn't even want to be around my BIL ever again. I'm not sure how he feels about my mother's part in all of this, TBH. Same with my sister, but at the meeting he did say he was disappointed in her and said she should divorce BIL and move back home. Commenter, this is obviously not the perfect update, but please enjoy your trip to the States. This is the problem you will get in the future. If they do apologize to you, are they doing so because of the ultimatum or not? Honestly, I wouldn't trust your sister's apology ever, and I would only accept your mother's if your brother and father vouched for her. This is going to be rough, so try finding different ways to communicate with your father and brother when you know your mother won't be around. Set up times for calls with the strict instructions that she isn't welcome to talk at this time. You put the pressure on them to come visit. If your father refuses to visit you alone, then you have additional answers. Also, what does your extended family think of the situation? Answer, I haven't told anyone anything. I feel a bit embarrassed to tell anyone, TBH, but none of my extended family members have mentioned anything to me, so don't think my mother or sister have really talked about it to anyone else. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.